Hello and welcome to episode 167 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet and my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is December 19th, 2022. And today I'm wearing another haramaki. I wore one last week, but it was a different one. And now today I'm wearing this because it goes really nicely with the cardigan I'm wearing. And last week I told you what a haramaki is. It's both a loop shawl, a loop scarf. It can be a belly warmer, it can be a hat. And today I brought the book where I have most of the patterns for the haramaki that I've knit from. And you can see this is what I'm wearing now. This is the belly warmer. These are the two different ways you can have a hat. You can have this. You can either have one half or the other half inside out. Wouldn't make a difference with this one. This is quite nice. You can just put it on like a hat and leave the rest hanging. And I also like this way of wearing a haramaki very much. And unfortunately, the book isn't being published anymore. And as far as I know, it was only published in German. But you might try and find it as a used book somewhere. The haramaki I knit last week was just from the basic pattern in the book, but this one is exactly in the book like this. So when I bought the book, I really liked most of the projects in the book, but I especially like this one. This is what it looks like in the book. So this is the like skirt or belly warmer version. And then she's sort of wearing it the way I'm wearing it now, just a bit more untidy. And this was one of the very few times in my whole life that I ordered the original yarn for a project and knit, and knit the project exactly as it is in the book. So that really very rarely happens. I usually change something in the pattern, or I get a different yarn, or at least a different color. But this time it's absolutely the way it is in the book. There's one more project I want to show you because I'm wearing that also, even though you can't see it yet. One of the other haramaki in this book is this one. And this is another one that's knit with the yarn held double. And they sort of made their own color gradient. So you have two strands of black, then you have one strand of black and one of beige, then two beige, then one beige, one white, and then two white. And I have a haramaki that has the same, or a color gradient kind of effect in a way, a bit like this, but that one was knit within a 2x2 rib. But the one I'm wearing is knit in this seat stitch pattern, but only in one color. So, as I said, I usually change things, but with this one, I knit it exactly as it is written in the book. And the interesting thing about this one is that most of them you knit in the round, you cast on, you knit, you cast off, you're done. That's a really simple and good way to knit a haramaki. But with this one, you knit sideways. So I cast on stitches somewhere in one color, I don't know. And again, this has the yarn held double, the sock weight yarn held double. So here I had this blue held double. Then I had one strand of that blue and one strand of the very dark blue. Then two dark blue. Then one dark blue, one turquoise. Then two of the turquoise. And then one turquoise, one of the middle blue. And you start off with the provisional cast on. And then once you're done knitting, you can knit the live stitches with the provisional cast on. You can Kitchener them together or knit them together with the Kitchener stitch. And then the seam will be completely invisible. If you don't like doing it, you could also do a 3-needle bind off, which would show a little bit. But you could even do it with a contrasting color and have a color accent where the 3-needle bind off is. Or you just do it in your normal color and you just move it to the back of your neck when you wear the loop. That's a good thing you can do. With this haramaki, the number of stitches you cast on determines how long it is. And I think if I had knit it in the round, it probably would have been shorter because I would have been too lazy to finish it, to make it this long. But as I had the stitches already on the needle, I did have to knit the whole circumference for one reason, so that all the color blocks would be the same width, but also to make sure I can actually wear it as a belly warmer or as a skirt. And as a skirt, that's really, it's really good to have it this long, so I can have it round my belly and round my bottom and be really nice and warm. So that's another haramaki. I was thinking today, I think at the moment I have 5 haramaki that are knit with the yarn held double, plus several with a single strand of yarn. But I just love the thick and warm ones, and I would love to have even more than that. We'll see. Okay, before I show you my cardigan, I'll just quickly show you the other haramaki that I'm wearing, and that's this one. So this is the seat stitch pattern, and it's the same yarn throughout. And it's not as long as this one, so it only goes from like here to a bit underneath the camera, what the camera shows. So I have one round here, one round there. That's really good with this kind of weather. But as I'm standing, I can show you my swirl jacket. I'll show you the book now. So this is knit from this book, Knit Swirl. And basically all the cardigans in the book are more or less the same with minor differences. There are 2 sort of round versions and 2 that are more oval. And then the placement of the neck is a bit different. So with 2 of the versions, they are quite symmetric. So the collar up here and the back, they are sort of more or less the same length. I could turn the jacket round if I wanted and would almost look the same. But with the off-center ones, the collar is a lot smaller than the length of the jacket. So if you turn those around, you get a completely different look, which is also very interesting. And then you have, like, this is the version that I knit first, but I've now given away. So it has a bit of an eyelet pattern in between those welts. And the one that I'm wearing is, I bought the original yarn that was asked for in the pattern. Is it this one? Yeah, Noro Silk Garden, that's the one. So this is the one. This is the pattern that I followed for this cardigan. You can see her sleeves are rolled up because if you knit the patterns the way they're written, the sleeves tend to be really long. So I tend to knit between 20 and 30 stitches less than the pattern calls for because I have very short arms, and this way it's rather too short than too long, but it's fairly okay. And yeah, this is what the jacket looks like. It's it looks a bit as if it was knitting, as if it was a circle, but it's really an octagon, I think, like 8 corners. And all the swirls do not have buttons or anything to close them with. So what I do is I use one of those pins to close it. But you can wear them open, and I can either pull the this up a bit into my neck, so I have it nice and warm here, and but I could also push it a bit to the back and have a longer jacket and a different sort of look to it. Yeah, I really like the many ways you can wear this cardigan, and I love the yarn. This is, I don't know if I've already mentioned it, this is Noro Silk Garden Light. So the Silk Garden, I think, is a mixture of wool, silk and mohair, and I just love it. It's such a beautiful, wonderful yarn. Yeah, and just by putting the needle here, this will stay put. And yeah, so that's what I'm wearing today. And it's really quite cold. I think I'll try and wear this a bit more like in the picture. So instead of just folding it down, I just folded it in half, and now I can pull the two ends in different directions, and that means it will be closer to my neck, and also it means that the colors get mixed up more. So now I have like the lighter blue and the dark blue on top of each other, and yeah, just have to make sure it's not too tight so I can still talk. Yeah, that looks kind of acceptable. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing. On to finished object. I have a lot of socks today and a surprise. So I'll start with the socks. So the older socks on the needle are probably his socks that I have finished. It's not the oldest. Oh, it doesn't matter. I really wanted to finish his socks for today so I can send them off this week so they get to their recipient in time for Christmas. And his socks and her socks are on Ravelry. They're just one project, so they're my sock couple. So basically now the project itself is finished, even though I had those socks as a finished object before. The pattern is called Treppenviertel Socks by Nicola Susan, Nicolor, and they have these funny ribs going this way and ribs going that way kind of pattern. And you actually have a left and a right sock, but it doesn't really matter whether you wear this pattern on the inside or outside. You can just put them on any way you like. But I like the fact that they are sort of a little bit different. And the yarn I used is the Schafpate series by Opal. So this is yarn from German Cheap, completely created, manufactured in Germany. So that's something that's quite nice. And yeah, when I knit the first pair, I followed the pattern really closely. So with the knits and pearls, I did it exactly as the pattern called for. And then for her socks, I did the heel the way she writes it in the pattern. So you knit the heel flap, you do this bit, which is, I think in German we call this a heart toe, because this sort of looks like the lower bit of a heart. And that was done a bit differently from what I'm used to. So the result was that when I picked up those stitches, I had a lot of stitches. So the gusset decreases took quite a long time. And the gusset decreases were done differently from what I am used to. So I did them as the pattern called for. And I quite like the fact that they are almost invisible. You don't really notice that there are decreases there. It's just that the stripes are not completely straight because of the decrease, but the decreases themselves are fairly invisible. So yeah, I quite like that, even though it's a bit unusual to do them. I wasn't too happy with this bit. I found that a bit tricky to do, and I wasn't too happy with what that looked like. So when I knit the second pair and I had to hurry up because time was running away, I decided to knit the heel the way I first learned to knit a heel. So this is the kind of heel that my grandmother taught me as a child or teenager, I don't remember. So instead of having this bit go outwards like this goes really straight. And I think this is known as a German heel, I think, not too sure. But as I said, this is the way I learned to do it. My grandmother did not teach me to do the garter bits, but I read about that later on and I quite like it. I think it makes it easier to pick up the stitches, but it definitely makes it easier to count your rows. So you know how many rows you knit your heel flap. And then I picked up stitches, and then I did the gusset decreases the way my grandmother taught me. So those decreases are a lot more visible. But I don't mind. I think it looks quite nice to have those lines running down here. And because I did the heel differently, I had fewer stitches than on the other sock, so the decrease line is a lot shorter, which I think is okay. And please don't ask me which heel I think is better. I think they're both good and probably wear well. And I don't know if you think one of them is more beautiful than the other. Usually once you put the socks on, nobody's going to look at what the heel of the sock looks like. But yeah, I found it quite interesting just to compare those two heels. For me, the main difference was that this is a lot quicker to do because I know what I'm doing. I can see what's happening a lot easier. So I just did that because of speed, and I did this one because it was in the pattern. As for the toes, I did my favorite star toe on the second pair where I was hurrying up. But when I checked, I did the same on the first pair. And I think I didn't even check the pattern. When I had the length I needed, I just automatically knit this toe. And the pattern calls for a, what do you call the toe where you decrease left and right and you sort of come together to, some people decrease the stitches to a certain point and then they will Kitchener stitch the stitches together, but you can decrease the whole way until you only have 8 stitches left. And in this pattern she decreases until there are only 4 stitches left, and it sort of looks like a point. It looks quite funny in the pictures. Have a look at the pattern pictures on her Ravelry site. They look really funny because they just stand by themselves. It's a really funny picture. Yeah, but I think that's all I wanted to say about these socks. I'm really happy they're done and I can't wait to send them off, and I hope the recipients will be happy with them. And the next finished object is another pair of socks, and these are the socks for my sister. It's the film reel socks. I forgot to check who the designer is, but it's linked on my Ravelry page, and my Ravelry page is linked underneath the video. If you're interested, check it out. Have a look at it. It's a fantastic pattern. It's not very complicated if you know how to do color work. The yarn I used is a series by Mkal called Cats and Dogs, and my sister loves cats and dogs, so that was one reason to knit her one of those colors. But I just liked the way each colorway in that series has sort of a light and a dark version of almost the same color. So I thought that would look really interesting in those socks. And the next project, the next finished object I'm showing you is my surprise project that I talked about the last 2 videos. And I said the recipient will not be allowed to watch this video until after Christmas. And this is for my sister. And when I told her yesterday not to watch the next video, she was so happy. She said, "Oh, I was hoping it's me. I was hoping you'd tell me not to watch it." And she said, "Well, I thought maybe you're going to knit for one of your friends." But she was so happy. It was so sweet. And so I asked her if she had an idea what I was knitting, and she said, "Well, maybe a gnome." And I thought, well, how does she know that? Yeah, I knit gnomes, but not just one. And I used the same yarn that I used for the socks. And that's so it's really a good thing that I'm showing it those one after the other. So you can see that there are light bits in this yarn and dark bits. And these are all the gnomes that I knit. And if you look at this one, you can see this is a light bit of that colorway, and this is part of the dark bit of the colorway. So I decided just for fun to knit a gnome out of every colorway in that series. So normally the colorway series from Mkal have 8 different colors. So they are the same colorway and those are the same colorway. But these 6, I only made 1 for each colorway. And I think they're so funny. The pattern is by Sierra Shawl, of course, Imagine Landscapes, and it's the pattern No Fun Like Gnome Fun, and it's her tiniest gnomes. Earlier this year I knit the earring size gnome, and this is the slightly bigger size gnome. I'm not quite sure whether it's Noah or Naomi, I forgot to check it. But you can knit that one in 2 different there are two different options. You can do a purl round before you do the decreases and then stuff it so that it can stand, or you omit the purl round and you get this rounded bottom, so they are for hanging. And that's what I meant those to be. I hope that my sister's going to hang them either in her Christmas tree or somewhere else in her flat. And the idea is that everybody gets the color gnome, that they will get socks. This is my sister's gnome. This one will be for her son's girlfriend. She will get socks in that color. Her older son will get this color socks. Her husband will get this color socks. And the little son will get blue socks. And the other ones I'm not sure if I'm going to knit red socks and brown socks and green socks. So these three colors, I haven't got plans for socks yet. Yeah, but it was a lot of fun to knit these little gnomes to go with these socks. And yeah, by the time she watches the video, she will have received them, and I'm pretty sure she's going to love them. Okay, so that's all the finished objects for today. Then on to works in progress, and I have shown you almost all the socks that I had on the needles. The only sock that I haven't finished last week are the knee-high socks that I'm knitting for myself, but I did not work on them because I was too busy finishing those socks that I just showed you. But I did start the next pair of film reel socks, and so this is the grey color. This is the same color as this little gnome. So here you can see I used part of the light bits for the hat, and then I changed to the dark bit for the body. Oh, you can see the colors quite nicely like this. Yeah, so as I said, cats and dogs. These are going to be for my sister's husband. His birthday is in December. I'm knitting these socks as birthday presents, so I don't have to have them all finished at the same time. I was running late with my sister's socks. I'm running late with his socks, but I hope for the next pair I'll be on time. The next birthday is going to be in February, so I have a bit of time there. So this is just the ribbing. I again changed the pattern a bit for the first two pairs. My sister's younger son already has a pair of film reel socks, but not from the cats and dogs series because that wasn't out yet. But in the pattern, it's a twisted rib in the ribbing in the cuff, but now I did a 2x2 rib just to change things up a bit, and so this is going to be another pair of film reel socks. And that's all the socks I can show you today. I do have to cast on a few more socks. Yeah, that's that. No knee-high sock. And then on to the next sock yarn small project. And that's another gnome. So socks and gnomes all over the place. I continued knitting on the mystery gnome that Sierra Shawl designed for this year, December. And again, I'm lagging behind. I will quickly show the bits that you already know. If you don't want to look away now. So that was the first clue. Then we had the second clue. And then we had this one. And then what was next? Was this surprising thing? And then I think the next one was, I don't remember. It could have been this one, whatever that is. And then we had this one, which is very obvious. And then we had a tiny little one. That's going to go here. And then the last bit we had to do wasn't actually knitting, but we did those funny little things. And these were supposed to be color 5, but I'm a bit worried. She's using so much color 5, and I thought color 5, I only have a tiny leftover bit of yarn from earlier projects, And I thought, well, it'll be enough for the beard and the nose and the hands. But now she keeps using it in so many different clues that, yeah, I did those two in just a pure white. It will still fit with the other stuff. So, but yeah, wanted to keep the proper color five for other things. Yeah, so I'm not showing anything anymore. It's a big mystery, as it's supposed to be. It's a mystery gnome. And yeah, there's one more bit of knitting that I can do as soon as I find some time. And then we'll see what today's clue will bring. And then, the next time I film, I will have finished it, because this is the last video for this year. Next week, there won't be a video on this channel. There will be a video with my sister on my German channel. The German channel is linked underneath the video if you are interested in seeing my sister and seeing a few of the projects that we knit together during this year. You can have a look at it. Even if you don't understand German, you might enjoy just seeing the projects. Yeah, so that's what happens next week. And then in 2 weeks' time, it's already the new year. And then I will show you my finished mystery gnome. Okay, then on to the next project. That's the very colorful pullover that I started knitting with this yarn out of the book I was gifted. I was told, by the way, I got a comment that the book is available in English. She writes in the comments what the book is called, I think. Or was it on Instagram? I don't know. But there is an English version. I think if you look at the book, I linked it underneath the video. And you can, if you look at the German book, you can write down the author and you should be able to find the English version. And yeah, I used this sleeve as a swatch to see if the size would be okay, if the colors would be okay. They are crazy colorful and sort of not very clear, but I like it. And I just continued knitting the sleeve. Really happy with how the colors come together. Yeah, not a lot, but yeah, I did knit a bit more now. I have to check how long the sleeve has to be, which sort of depends on how long the yoke is going to be. And then I'll have to see how many stitches I need so it works with the pattern. Some thinking required, and I didn't really have the time or the brain space for that. Okay, then we're already at the shawls and scarves and blanket section. Well, not scarf, but let's do the shawls. I did, again, not knit on the Chevrione. That's the one with the many beads. Maybe over the holidays I will have a bit of time, we'll see. But I finally picked up my Opal Abo, my subscription yarn for the pattern battle, where I am knitting a little shawl by Martina Behm called Baltic Summer. Again, just added maybe 2 pattern repeats, but I really want to make sure I'll finish this as soon as possible, because the next pattern battle hasn't probably started yet, but we got the next last week. The subscription parcel arrived, and at the moment we can choose which of the 3 balls of yarn, which of the 3 colorways we prefer. And then I think on Christmas we can start putting our patterns that we want to knit, and then the official cast on will be January 1st. So I'm usually a bit behind with choosing a pattern, so I don't think I will have started the next project by the time I do the next video, but hopefully in the week after that I will settle for a pattern. So that's that. And the other shawl is the High Sierra Shawl by Romy, and that's this beautiful black and red modularly constructed triangular shawl, where I finished all the different lace patterns, and I finished the striping, and I'm just now knitting the black border. So the pattern calls for 7 garter ridges in the last color, and I think I will do them. I think I finished 3, so this is like half the border that's called for. And I think this looks quite good. I like it. Yeah, so just a few more long rows of garter stitch with a few increases and then a long cast off. But I really hope to finish that fairly quickly. Then the blankets, I did not crochet on the Talavera blanket, the crochet blanket from Simply Crochet, but I've decided how I am going to go on, so that's a good thing. Now I just need to sit down, pick up the yarn and start the next round, which is going to take forever. But I'm not really in a hurry with that one. I just want to get it finished so it's done. The other blanket is my memories blanket, and I added a few squares in that. So this is almost 10 by 10 squares at the moment, which means it will be 100. I hadn't thought about that. So, but not quite yet. So once I finish this row of squares, it'll be 100. And the new ones are this one and this one. And I just started another one in this pale blue. And these are the three colors that I used for my gnome pullover and the gnome hat, and also for that gnome over there. And also I'm using this color in the mystery gnome. So this square really represents quite a lot of projects, and I'm not going to put 4 squares in the blanket just because I make quite a few projects with that. And for the last one, I only just picked up the stitches and knit, I think, about 5 rows. And I ended in the middle of the row just so I could show what the square is going to look like once it's done. Because of the decreases in the middle, that's how the line sort of goes this way. Whereas while I'm knitting, it's always on the needles like this. So it's a bit confusing maybe if you haven't done that before. But if you stack the decreases on top of each other, you can get those lines to sort of go around the corner. Yeah, so really looking forward to finishing this. And then the next 2 squares are going to be the sock couple that I just finished. And then I will have to see if I want to put the film reel socks left over in just like this, or I might save them until I finish all the socks and then put all 5 of them in one row. I think I would quite like to do that. Then I'll have to find some other leftover yarn for those 2 squares. But I finished so many projects in the last couple of weeks and months. Shouldn't be a problem to find something. So that's a blanket. That brings us to the knit-alongs. And for the 2 knit-alongs that I am running at the moment, I continue crocheting on the Viva Vittoria square that I'm crocheting. It's an organization originally from Italy who asked for squares to be donated so they can sew blankets, and they want to raise awareness of for the topic of violence against women. So I'm very happy to support them. And this is the 3rd square that I am making. This is the 8-ply, one of the 8-ply colorways by Mkal. And I decided to do a corner-to-corner crochet square. And this is what I have got now. Last week I had only done a few rows. I think it's really funny how the red color sort of pooled in this bit of the square. I know some people don't like pooling at all, but I think it's quite funny, especially for a blanket square. It's no big problem. And I enjoy watching the colors move around and see what happens with them. Yeah, so just need to keep going with that. And then my last project, as usual, is the scarf that I'm knitting in brioche stitch. Was supposed to be a Christmas present, but I probably won't finish it in time. But it's okay, you'll just get it later. So this is a 6-ply opal yarn, and this is again Schafpate. It's the same quality as the sock couple I knit, but this is a 6-ply, and that was just 1 year that they did a special production or whatever from the Schafpate in 6-ply yarn. I keep hoping they will repeat that because I love the yarn. These aren't my colors, but I think they really look nice, and I love some of the other colors, and I have knit them for myself. So yeah, it'd be great to have that yarn again. Yeah, so that is everything I knit. There are quite a few projects, well, there are 3 projects that I didn't get to work on, and some older projects that keep waiting for me to pick them up. But I think before Christmas it's okay to concentrate on a few projects to get them done. And as I've now shown you the tiny little gnomes, you've actually seen everything I knit and crocheted last week. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one in the next year. Bye!